The Outlanders Journey. Tier 1, Level 2. Chapter 1. Laurel, you're a healer now. The moment that spell went off was the moment you stopped being a mage, and the moment you came to a euphoric yet devastating epiphany. Everything you were taught to believe about magic was wrong. Everything you studied, trained, cried over, placed your hopes and dreams and self-worth upon was a lie. The casting of the healing spell was a duet, akin to an improvised performance. No aspect of it required the technical memorization or robotic enunciation or intellectual calculation that was instilled upon you. All that was needed was your will and your artistic instincts. You're walking back to the cave with Bach, Maile, and Mock, still giddy. Your fingers are trembling, and your armpits are sweaty. The sun is shining through parted clouds, giving a slightly hazy glow to your surroundings. Your brother knows some healing from his studies as an artificer. You're looking forward to his next sending, so you can tell him you can do it too, and that you figured it out on your own. Perhaps, you hope to suggest to him, you are meant to be out here after all. Mock keeps glancing over at you, though he doesn't speak. He watched his brother and the other orcs discussing and arguing, and he translated parts of the conversation to you, but you weren't sure how he was taking everything. Maile is holding Bach's hand while firmly pressing her hat down, eyes fixed to her feet. You don't know how Ernog will react if he ever finds out about her. Will he turn on all of you for hiding this from him? What amount of goodwill can you acquire as a safety net before more people find out about her? You have, at least for now, that backup plan with the Everlight followers. You turn around to see if anyone is also heading to the cave. Ernog and the Everlight followers shouldn't be too far behind. Maybe you and Errol can hash things out in greater detail once she's settled a bit and not pleading for her life. Mock peers at you again, and this time you smile at him. He turns away. "Everything all right?" you say. He purses his lips and scratches at his tusks. Compared to the others, his are still tiny, barely protruding out of his mouth. Dull red pimples pepper his chin, and his voice occasionally cracks. "Do you really think learning magic will help?" "I think it won't hurt," you say. "Magic is neither good nor bad. It's just something that's there, so you might as well use it, right?" He hangs his head, running his fingers across the grasses. "It can hurt." "Did something happen?" you ask. "I was trying to heal," he mumbles. "You mean just now?" you say. He shakes his head. "When a lot of us were still sick," he says resentfully, pouting his lips. "Oh, did something bad happen?" "I don't know, and I don't understand. They let that Aarakocra in because he healed Ernog. After everything they said about my magic, they let him in for using magic too." "Well," you say, "I'm sure there were some other reasons too." You put a hand on his shoulder, but he flinches. "I was just trying to heal my father. I wanted to help bring his fever down, but Elder Lasha said I was stooping to the level of the evil elves. She said I was trying to kill him, and if my father didn't make it, it would be my doing." You suck in air through your teeth. Bach and Maile stop and turn to stare at him. If things deteriorate enough that you need to run away with the Everlight followers, you really ought to bring Mock along with you. You touch his shoulder again, and this time he doesn't jerk away. "Mock, look at me." He gazes into your eyes with sorrow. "Do you understand that you had nothing to do with your father's death?" He shrugs. "I didn't know how to heal. I might have cursed him." You shake your head. "There's no such thing as accidental curses. You need to have the will and intent to harm someone like that. Do you understand?" A thought crosses your mind that perhaps, out of everyone here, Maile could accidentally do such a thing. "We don't know for sure." "I do." He begins to fidget with the edge of his shirt. "I just wanted to do what I thought was the right thing." "Of course," you say. "Do any of them blame you?" He shrugs. "Ernog said he doesn't, but he's a good liar." "So far, everything Ernog's told me about you has only been good things. He's worried about you, but he doesn't seem to hold you responsible for any of what happened." He nods, looking away. Do you want to learn magic? Truly? I want to help. From behind, you hear excited trotting, followed by loud panting, and you turn to see Rock barreling towards you. He leaps into the air, his tongue flapping out of the side of his mouth, and he lands right beside Mock. Immediately, he dips his head down, spreading his front legs in anticipation. Mock roughly grabs at the wolf's head, vigorously rubbing his snout. Squirming and wagging his tail excitedly, Rock slobbers all over Mock's face, and soon the two are on the ground in a tangle of fur and limbs. The direwolf's tail is slapping the ground so forcefully it could cut through the grass. They continue to tumble around, and finally, Rock rolls over, belly up, awaiting rubs. Maeli, seeing this, lets go of Bach's hand and her hat, and she falls to her knees as she scratches with all her might. Rock begins to thump his hind foot. Bach immediately follows suit, patting Rock's belly gently. You realize that if you all run, you'll have no choice but to bring this big dumb dog as well. Shuffling closely behind Rock is the white direwolf. Behind her are Ernog, Dura, and the Everlight followers' silhouettes. The wolf has her wounded paw raised as she limps towards you, and she collapses to the ground next to Rock, panting heavily. As she catches her breath, she licks at the cut, gnawing at the flakes of dried blood stuck to her fur. Mock, you say, squatting down. You put your hand out, waiting to see if you can touch the wolf's fur. You're not a dog person, let alone a wolf person, but this may be a good opportunity to see what Mock can do. You touch the direwolf's stomach, and she immediately focuses her eyes on you, licking her chops. You instinctively pull your hand off, but she only blinks at you curiously. She lets out a soft, begging whimper. Mock glances at you, wiping drool off his face. His hair is drenched as well. Do you want to try healing this one's injury? You point at her leg. Sean's? He says. The wolf turns her attention to Mock. Yeah, this might be good practice. You can see the hesitation in his eyes. He catches sight of his brother, edging closer. Will it be okay? Of course, you say. I promise you this is what your brother wants. He wants you to learn. He inhales and nods slowly. Okay, he says. Bach, you say, can you communicate to Sean that we want to heal her? We don't want to spook her. Bach nods, and he scratches Sean's ear. He begins to whisper in a language that sounds like a dialect of Sylvan. You can make out a few words here and there, like help or friend or better, but the sounds are a strange blend of chirping, chittering, barking, and purring. It seems to be second nature to him. Sean licks Bach's hand and nuzzles her snout into his palm. She carefully extends her wounded leg towards Mock. Ernog and the others are only a few feet away. They can probably see all of this happening. You lean into Mock's ear. The healing word spell only requires you to speak the name of the person you wish to heal. Say, Sean, and the word alleviation. He nods. Can it be in any language? I believe so, you say. You should cast in whatever language you're comfortable with. He closes his eyes and cups his hand over his mouth, and, to your surprise, he whistles softly. The sound is neither linguistic nor musical in nature. It is an imitation of the winds. You feel a breeze swirling around Sean, and from the injury, little budding sprouts grow and blossom into tiny sunflowers before wilting and decaying away. In place of the wound is a little scar. Sean lifts up her head and licks her leg again, a bit perplexed. With a flick of your wrist, you prestidigitate the crusted over blood. You smile at Mock. It's not as cool as what you just did, but maybe it'll keep Sean from licking it too much. You did very well. Mock scratches at the back of his head bashfully. You can tell he's holding back a smile. You hear Arnog's footsteps approaching. As you look up, his long shadow begins to encroach upon you, and his eyes stare down at you. Mock also gazes up with an expectant expression. You should be back in the cave, says Ernog. Mock blinks. Oh. We got a little lost, you say. You can feel the disappointment coming off Mock. Has everything worked out? You lean back and see Ark, Errol, and Taira standing like lost sheep, emotionally drained and exhausted. Errol is staring at you, and you subtly nod once at her. She has rather striking eyes, especially when she's focused. An arrangement has been made, says Ernog. The others are making preparations to gather as many supplies as we need. We're leaving tomorrow before dawn. Already? Says Bach. Our location is no longer safe. If even these three fools have found us, then we must leave as soon as possible. I can heal, Bach blurts out. You turn to see him leaning forward towards his brother, eyes still seeking that validation. I saw, says Ernog. I can heal the others. We don't need the Arakokra. Can you cure our disease? Asks Ernog. Mock's eyes dart over to you. The Arakokra can. You still have more learning to do. The disappointment has turned to devastation now. You place a hand on his back. It's all right, says Ernog, ruffling his brother's hair. You will learn. He turns to Ark. The Arakokra, should he prove himself, may even teach you. But... The decision is final. This is for your own good. Now come, we must prepare to leave. He continues ahead without another word. The Everlight people stumble past you, keeping their heads low. You'll have to formally introduce yourself to them later. Dura kneels and whispers into Mock's ear while rubbing his back. She smiles at him and pulls him to his feet. She shoves him along in an encouraging manner, and he scowls at her as he looks back over his shoulder. He raises his arm at Rock, who bolts up to his feet, and the two run off ahead. The sun is about to set. So much has happened in one day. Your brother's voice enters your head. Where are you now? Are you safe? Is it cold? We're safe, you say. The people who've taken us in want us to stay, and we've accepted the offer. I can heal now. To your surprise, he responds this time. I'm glad. I'm proud of you. Stay safe. Come home soon. Thanks. I'll do my best.